Top North Carolina lawmakers say it's time for change to prevent another tragedy like the deadly light rail attack in South Charlotte. Thank you so much for staying with us. It's On Your Side tonight at 7:30. I'm Kim Anderson.
And I'm Jamie Bold. Nearly 3 weeks ago, a 23-year-old woman was stabbed to death while riding the light rail. Here's what we know. Irina Zaretska had just gotten off work at a local pizza restaurant and was on the rail for just a few minutes before the man sitting behind her stabbed her to death.
Authorities identified her killer as DeCarlos Brown Jr. The 34-year-old was seen on video stabbing Irina before getting off the train. He is charged with first-degree murder and federally charged with committing an act causing death on a mass transportation system. 2 weeks into the police investigation, surveillance video from inside the train gave the case international attention, prompting multiple federal investigations. Now, state Republican lawmakers say they want to create new policies to prevent another event like this. During a news conference today, lawmakers talked about bringing back the death penalty in North Carolina for the first time since 2006, along with getting rid of cashless bail. Eventually, how money in Mecklenburg County is getting used, and examining local magistrates. They also say Governor Josh Stein should not have power to create task forces, citing former Democratic Governor Roy Cooper's task force on racial equity and criminal justice back in 2020. But the task force only made recommendations. It does not create legislative policies.
What they do is they reflect an attitude on policing, an attitude on criminal justice, an attitude on how things ought to be taking place. And those attitudes, in many respects, are the things that inform the kinds of decisions that were made by the magistrate in this case and by other magistrates that are of the same political ilk.